Imagine standing in a grocery store, your baby crying in your arms while you count quarters one by one, praying it's enough to buy formula. Now imagine a stranger stepping in. Not just anyone, but a powerful CEO who changes your entire life. This is not just a story. It's a reminder that kindness can come when we least expect it. Stick with me until the end, because what happens will make your heart believe in miracles again. And hey, before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories. The fluorescent lights of the grocery store hummed quietly above as Emily clutched her worn-out diaper bag tighter and tried to hush her fussy baby Noah. He was only 8 months old, his cheeks flushed from hunger, his tiny hands grasping desperately at her shirt. Emily's heart sank as she laid the can of formula on the counter. It wasn't a luxury. It was survival. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small zippered pouch, the kind children usually used for coins. Inside was her hope. Quarters, nickels and dimes she had scraped together over the past week by skipping meals, collecting change from under couch cushions, and even returning empty soda bottles for a few cents each. The cashier looked at her kindly, but also impatiently, glancing at the long line forming behind her. One by one, Emily stacked the coins on the counter. Her fingers trembled, not just from exhaustion but from the humiliation of it all. She was 26, a single mom, and had once dreamed of becoming a nurse. But dreams had to be put aside when Noah's father walked out during her pregnancy, leaving her with nothing but hospital bills and an eviction notice. People in line whispered to each other. Some sighed, some rolled their eyes. Emily's cheeks burned with shame. She could hear someone behind her mutter, "Why have a kid if you can't afford it?" The words sliced deeper than they realized. She wanted to scream back, "I love him, I'll do anything for him." But her throat was tight, her pride swallowed by the weight of survival. As she counted the last quarter, she realized she was short. Not by much, only 75 cents, but enough to crush her spirit. Tears blurred her vision. She bit her lip, trying not to cry in front of strangers. Noah whimpered louder, sensing his mother's despair. "I'm so sorry," Emily whispered. To the cashier, her voice breaking. Can I just get a smaller can? I'll come back with the rest tomorrow." But before the cashier could respond, a deep, steady voice broke the tension. "Ring up the large can, and add 2 more." Emily froze. Slowly, she turned her head to see a tall man in a sharp navy suit step forward. His presence was commanding, his dark eyes steady but kind. His watch glimmered faintly under the store lights, and it was clear this man lived in a world far removed from counting coins. He handed his black card to the cashier with effortless ease. The line went silent. Even the whispers stopped. The man glanced at Emily, and though his expression was calm, his eyes softened when they landed on Noah. "No child should go hungry," he said simply. Emily's lips parted, but no words came out. She wanted to protest, to insist she could manage somehow, but the truth was she couldn't. Her chest tightened with a mixture of gratitude and humiliation. I can't let you do that," she stammered, clutching Noah closer. But the man shook his head gently. "It's already done." The cashier bagged 3 large cans of formula, along with some baby wipes and diapers the man had quietly added to the purchase. When Emily tried to reach for the bag, her hands trembled. Why are you doing this?" she asked. The man hesitated for a moment, then said softly, "Because once my mother was in your shoes." Her eyes widened. He didn't look like someone who had ever known hardship, but the way he said it left no room for doubt. The man nodded at her, then turned to leave without expecting thanks or recognition. But before he walked away, Noah stretched out his tiny hand toward him as if sensing the goodness in him. The man paused, smiled faintly, and touched Noah's little hand for just a second before walking away. Emily stood frozen, clutching the formula, her heart pounding. The line behind her began to move again, people murmuring in awe. She stepped aside, her tears finally spilling. Not just from relief, but from the overwhelming reminder that kindness still existed in a world that had been so unkind to her. Asterisk. What she didn't know then was that this stranger wasn't just a kind-hearted passerby. He was Alexander Grant, the CEO of one of the largest healthcare companies in the city. And this encounter would be the turning point that would change her and Noah's life forever. Asterisk. The next morning, Emily woke up with a strange mix of relief and unease. She had food for Noah now, enough to last weeks. But her pride ached, and questions swirled in her mind. Who was that man? Why had he helped her? And why couldn't she stop thinking about the way he said, "Once, my mother was in your shoes?" Asterisk. She shook off the thoughts and focused on feeding Noah, cherishing the way his eyes lit up when his hunger was finally satisfied. Still, she couldn't shake the memory. She decided to walk to the library later that day to use the free internet and search for jobs. Asterisk. What Emily didn't expect was to see that same man again. She spotted him when she passed by a tall glass building downtown. His face was on a banner outside. Alexander Grant, CEO of Grant Medical. She stopped in her tracks, staring. The man who had bought her baby's formula wasn't just successful, he was one of the most powerful men in the city. Asterisk. Her heart pounded. She almost laughed at the absurdity of it all. Why would someone like him care about her? She turned away quickly, clutching Noah's stroller, determined to put the encounter behind her. But fate had other plans. Asterisk. 2 weeks later, she sat nervously in the waiting area of Grant Medical. She had applied for an entry-level position as a receptionist, desperate for steady income. When her name was called, she followed the HR manager down a long hallway. But instead of an interview room, she was led straight into a large office with floor-to-ceiling windows. Asterisk. Her breath caught. Behind the desk sat Alexander Grant. Asterisk. He looked up, surprised, then smiled warmly. "Emily," he said, remembering her name from the store. "It's good to see you again." Her knees almost buckled. I didn't know," she stammered, her cheeks flushed. Asterisk. He gestured for her to sit. "I recognized your application," he said simply, "and I wanted to meet you myself." Emily swallowed hard. She had expected judgment, maybe pity, but instead his voice carried respect. "I see resilience in you," he said. "You're raising a child alone, working hard, doing everything you can. That's the kind of strength I want on my team." Tears filled her eyes. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not since Noah was born. She whispered, "Thank you," her voice shaking. Asterisk. From that day, Emily's life began to shift. She got the job, and with Alexander's mentorship, she slowly built a career. But more than that, she found in him someone who believed in her when she had stopped believing in herself. Alexander never flaunted his wealth or power around her. Instead, he reminded her daily that strength wasn't measured by status, but by the love and sacrifices one was willing to make. Asterisk. As months turned into years, Emily no longer had to count quarters for formula. She had stability, confidence, and a brighter future for Noah. But what stayed with her most was the memory of that night in the grocery store, the night when a stranger's act of kindness became the thread that wove her broken life back together. Asterisk. And now, as you're listening to this story, remember this. Sometimes the smallest act of compassion can rewrite someone's destiny. So never underestimate the power of kindness. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more life-changing stories.